Did Pat McAfee make a mistake? Did he sell out? And I want to talk about this from a general sports angle real quickly here on the Smitty Sports Show. And we can open the phone lines. I know it's late for a lot of you Eastern time folks, but I wanted to get on here and talk about this and see what you guys thought. And we talked about this on the Fantasy Football Show earlier today, but I want to throw this here on the Smitty Sports Show and get some general sports reactions from all of you, and what you thought of this situation. There's so many people that are angry at Pat McAfee, just livid, and it's crazy because if you comb through his comments, it's brutal. It's brutal. It's probably 50% minimum negative comments. Sell out. How could you do this? Crazy if you ask me. Crazy if you ask me. The reaction he's getting, the negative reaction Pat McAfee's getting. But let's start with, did he sell out? Of course he sold out. I mean, that's what the definition of selling out is. What? The definition of selling out is going in a direction you probably wouldn't have gone. You said you wouldn't go for money. But who here wouldn't do it? Who here wouldn't do? Who here? And we'll get to why he maybe shouldn't do it. Why I think it's not a good move for him. But who here wouldn't do it? You're telling me anybody that says, "Oh, I wouldn't go to ESPN. I wouldn't do this." For $15 million, you wouldn't do that? For $15 million a year? Now the question though for Pat is, did Pat need to do this? Pat was on a 4-year. Let me see if I can find this this piece right here. I think it's somewhere over here. Pat was in the middle of a 4-year deal. Where is this? With FanDuel. Let me see if I can find this somewhere. I think it might be right here. Here it is. Pat McAfee, 36 years old. What's up, Pac-Man? 36 years old, is in his second year of a 4-year, $120 million contract with FanDuel, according to this ESPN report. And we don't even know the details of that because, look, they haven't told us a lot. We don't know what's fully going on behind the scenes. We don't know what ESPN's doing for Pat's show. They're taking over all production. They've taken over some of the production. We've heard them talk about it, briefly, but they haven't gone over the details. I'll go in a second. I'll get into why a lot of people don't understand what goes into a show, what goes into this lifestyle, and the negativity. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Punch the thumb up button. Pac-Man, appreciate you being here. The amount of work and effort and stress and all that goes into producing, paying for, the costs, the salaries, the expenses, all of which no longer come out of Pat McAfee's pocket. If he got $100 million, which he's given a lot of it away, and I mean, come on.
Let's go, mashed potatoes.
I mean, who else does that? This guy's giving away so much money to the local organizations and charities and such. Like, the guy's an absolute gem. And yet people just ripping him apart, calling him a sellout. He sold out, but not in the way that people define it. Like, Pat McAfee, here's why. I know I'm going in circles here, but let me start off by telling you why I'm confused as to why he did do this himself. Would we do it? Yes. Do I want to ever work for anybody ever again? No, I don't. I want to work for myself. I work for myself. And I don't ever want that to change. But if someone offered me or you or anybody 15 mil, even for 1 year, let alone 3 or 4 years, let's say you get 60 mil for 4 years, who's not going to go do that? Who's not going to go do that? For 4 years, 3 years, and then you can go do whatever you want. The reason why it's confusing for me as to why Pat did this himself, is because he had more money coming in. And look, there were talks, and Pat from his own mouth said there were about four other individual or companies in the mix here, businesses in the mix to get this deal done. What does that tell you? That tells you that Pat was seeking a way out of his current situation. He no longer wants to produce everything, no longer wants to pay everything, no longer wants the liabilities of Brett Favre's coming after him. He no longer wanted any of that. Otherwise, why was he in talks with 4 different people? When you're in talks with 4 different companies, that means you're shopping yourself. If somebody came to you and said, hey, we want to lure you in, that's one company. The fact that he's talking to 4 different companies means he's shopping the idea. He wants this. Why does he want this? That's the question, and I think I know the answer, because I am a content creator and I do this for a living, and I'm on a much smaller scale, especially if you stumble upon this show. This show is a news, is the sports show. I haven't done anything on this yet, and we're gonna change that. This is gonna become a daily sports show here on the Smitty Sports Show. But if you follow me on the Fantasy Football Show on my YouTube there, you know that I do this for a living, full time, and a lot goes into it. Pac-Man says hopefully he takes Booger's spot. Matt Ryan should be joining the broadcast booth. Yeah, but I can put this all together and tell you that he is 100% been shopping this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have 4 people. And when he said we have 4 people coming at us and we decided to go with ESPN, that language tells you he was choosing one avenue for sure, meaning he's shopping this idea. He wanted this idea. It was going to go to somebody. It wasn't just I'm not selling my house. Person drives by your house, says, I want to buy your house. I'm not selling my house. I'll give you $10 million. My house is only worth $2 million. That's right. I'll give you $10 million. Okay, I guess I'm selling my house. That wasn't this situation. This situation was he put a for sale sign essentially in front, a leasing sign in front. We don't know. We don't know how much he really owns, what's going on. He hasn't really divulged that information. But the for sale sign, or the I want a leasing rights sign, and he was going to do something no matter what. I'm sure FanDuel was a party that was involved trying to vie for him. I'm sure FanDuel didn't maybe give him everything he needed. And someone might say, okay, well, $120 million for 4 years, right? He's in year 2. We don't know if this is revocable by any means because they're going in a different direction. We don't know if Pat negotiated in, hey, we get 2 more years, we're promoting FanDuel no matter what. I don't care what you're doing over there. You have to accept that arrangement. That for sure is probably the case as well, right? As for this McAfee, $15 million a year from ESPN, this encompasses all the salary. This doesn't include all the salaries. That $15 million's in his pocket. He no longer, I'm sure FanDuel, if they were to up their offer, say, hey, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, it wasn't to cover all the costs, cover all the salaries, cover all the production, cover all the, plus the connections involved. ESPN has these connections. I'm sure there's something that this guy's received in terms of guarantees for this and that, and funneling in interviews, doing that. I mean, his connections will be extremely ramped up over on the ESPN side versus if FanDuel was the party that wanted to up it and offer more than ESPN. Like, it's funny, though, that people don't think he was shopping this. If there were 4 offers, that means he was shopping it. So the only thing I would say is this. If he didn't want the backlash of his fan base, which is looking like a 50% rate of people irate, and he could have got the same amount of money from FanDuel just to do some sort of exclusivity, because based on the first deal here, $120 million for 4 years, and I'm just guessing here, but based on what's Pat said in the past, that 4-year deal was not exclusive, and it didn't even sound like it encompassed much. It was like, hey, we're going to mention them. They're kind of our preferred, preferred party that we use for our betting and gambling. It wasn't even exclusive, which is why I don't think this is conflicting. I don't think FanDuel can do anything about this as long as Pat honors whatever agreement they have. We don't know the details of that. They could void the last 2 years, or maybe Pat just said, hey, no matter what happens, the licensing with ESPN, this is pre-existing. It stays in place for 2 years, then it drops off, and then ESPN controls everything from that point. But Pat, you can call him a sellout. You can call him whatever you want. I know a lot of people are not happy about ESPN. I know a lot of people are not happy about where the direction of the show, where it's going. But the bottom line is this. Everyone here that's complaining and saying Pat sold out, you would do it too. You would do it too. Don't say you wouldn't for 15 mil a year on what's probably like a 3 or 4 or 5 year type of contract. Don't say you wouldn't do it. And give Pat a chance too. It kind of frustrates me that nobody's giving Pat McAfee a chance to prove what he's saying over and over. I'm not going to change. Maybe I don't drop the F-bomb anymore. You know, maybe I don't do a couple things like that, but I'm going to change the culture over there. And I'm just speculating here. Let's say he had FanDuel in front of him. He had another offer in front of him, an ESPN offer and another offer. He had 4 offers apparently from what we're gathering. And ESPN came to him and said, I know you're hesitant to go with us, but I'm going to tell you we can give you more connections. You're going to be in front of more people, and we'll let you cultivate sports at ESPN going forward. You can be talked about in the history books of changing the direction back into a positive direction in terms of where sports talk shows go, because everybody seems to hate the way ESPN deals and tears down and dilutes shows and whatever. Pat is basically saying, I'm going to change things. Believe me and trust me. And if anybody's a true fan of him, because everybody's so angry at him, and I get why, but the anger is crazy. If you're that angry about this, you probably aren't a diehard fan of his. You're probably a casual fan of his, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the guy is asking you to trust him. And if it doesn't work out the way it's been explained to him, don't you think he'll probably leave and backtrack out? Or maybe Pat is tired of doing this and he just wants to go to work and come home and not have to deal with this. People don't understand. Everyone watching thinks it's so easy to run a show and a brand, especially to the degree and level he's got with all the employees, all of the problems, all the network issues, all the computer problems, the tech issues, the guests, the complaints, all the issues that pop up that this guy's got to be in front of and deal with. And he just had a newborn baby. He wants to take this route. He wants to go this route. And I just think that it's a little unfair, the ridicule and criticism and hate that he's getting from a fan base that appeared to me to be so in love with this guy. He had he probably had the highest rate of approval within his own fan base of any show I've seen. And it went from like 95% approval rating inside his own community to like 50% in a matter of a day. It's crazy to me. And I understand all the issues and the complaints and the concerns, and nobody likes ESPN. People say in the comments, but he's asking people to give him a chance to prove things, and no one's listening, you know? And I do feel he had other avenues, but I feel like he doesn't want to deal with the avenue that these other avenues where he still got to control a whole lot of things, and he doesn't want to do that anymore. He wants to be involved in 100 different things, and that's for him to decide. Maybe that changes the show for you, and that I understand. I understand the anger of your show changing if this is your show, if this is your jam. I can understand that, the anger involved in this changing, but the anger directed toward Pat McAfee, who built something up, wants to go into the ESPN environment because he's been told by the higher ups, and he's explained this, that I'm going to go in and change the culture, and that's as important to him as anything else. And you could say, yeah, right, that's just spin. Maybe it is, and then judge him for it. If he says that and he doesn't do it, then judge him for it. Then if the hate ensues, the hate ensues. But I just find it a little crazy, a little hardcore hate on this man right here who is still giving the show away for free. That's what he went in and said in the negotiations. This is going to be on ESPN. I promised my people it would be on YouTube no matter what. The show would always be free, and he's doing that. We'll see what happens, but I appreciate you guys watching, and definitely leave a comment with your thoughts. I understand the anger. The anger is understandable. The hate isn't. So.